Hello, I'm Game Retainer, and in this video I'll be going over a handful of unmarked locations that you can find in 7 Days to Die. By unmarked locations, I mean a place that doesn't have a name at the top of the screen as you enter it. I've tried to include some map variation, and I will put coordinates at the top of the screen and the map name at the bottom of the screen. Now let's jump straight in. I'm going to kick this list off by adding to a POI that I included in the last video I uploaded. This unmarked mine is an interesting one because it does have, well, a mine. But very close to this location, there is another interesting unmarked POI, and while it has been in the game for quite a while, some of you new players might not know about this. I will put the coordinates for this place up, for those who want to see, but just a stone's throw away, you will find this. This is such a cool place to stumble across, and I remember the first time I came across it many moons ago. And unfortunately there isn't a lot inside. It's a fun little parkour place. I don't know if it's a reference to something, it feels like it might be. This could be a viable location for a base. And obviously it's built into the rock, so you'd have some natural protection, but just be careful the zombies don't dig down to you. But I will pull up the map just to show you. The unmarked mine was right there. Trader Bob is right there. Moving on. This next one, I believe it's a part of this building here. However, when you enter it, a name doesn't pop up, so it gets a mention. This, if you haven't seen it already, is a parking garage, or garage if you're wrong. It spans over a couple of floors. There are a couple of zombies knocking about, nothing too difficult. There is a lift, an elevator, if you will, which I will not. And if we go downstairs, again, there's a little bit of loot. You could turn this place into a storage area, and with a group of friends you could probably turn this into a relatively good horde base. Obviously with it being underground, there is a slight drawback to it, but it's quite a big structure, and to not have an official name in the game just seems a bit strange. But yeah, there you go. This next one is something that I'm sure every single one of you would have passed at some point. There are multiple of these little watery hole things. I don't know the official term, but it's a hole that has water in it, so that's what it is. You'll find many of these on most maps, and that's not particularly interesting. What is interesting is if you are on PC and you go into God mode, turn off AI and go into the water, you will find a couple of no-no torsos just hanging around waiting for a cuddle. Just thought that was mildly entertaining. And obviously, it's unmarked, so it qualifies for this list. This next place is one that I mentioned in a video I made a little while ago, but it also gets a mention here because it doesn't actually have a name on it. Well, it does. This is Navezgane Transit. And just like all the other entries on this list, it doesn't have a little name in the top right corner of the screen. So it's very easy to miss. This is it's an interesting location, I'll give it that. I'm not sure how viable it would be as a base since it is underground. I suppose it could be useful if you're willing to put the effort in. It's pretty spacious. There is a little bit of loot in here, nothing too extravagant. You have a nice hole if you want a hole, there you go. There's nothing too extravagant, but you do get a couple of crates and an alternative way out. Would I recommend coming here for a visit? Yes. For anything else? Not really. It's just not really worth the hassle. But still, it's an interesting little place, isn't it? This next one just gets a lightning fast honourable mention because I find it mildly interesting. On Navezgane, right next to the Shamway food factory, you will find a small area where 3 biomes meet. The burnt forest, the desert, the wasteland. Is it useful? Probably not, but I found it slightly interesting, so there you go. Moving on. Up next, we have a location that I have featured in a video I made a very long time ago. I say a long time ago, it was a couple of months. This place is right next to Perishton on the Navezgane map, and it doesn't seem like much. It's just a little tunnel, but I'm sure you can hear the noises already. Inside this tunnel, there is a little panel flooring, and underneath the panel flooring, ta-da! It's a bear. Every time I've come here in testing, it has been a bear. It's not necessarily been a zombie bear, but it has been a bear of some form. I did mention the last time I featured this location that it might not be a bad place to build a base. Just thought you might want to know that. Just a real quick entry for these signs. This is more of an honourable mention than an entry in itself, but these signs can be found all over the map, mostly outside of trader settlements, which can be very, very handy. If you stray too far away from your base, or it's your first few days, and you're not sure what to do yet, hopping up onto the top of one of these could be a good way of surviving the night. Even if zombies do see you and start attacking these pillars here, you've got plenty of space and plenty of time to shoot them with arrows and get rid of them before they can cause any damage. While these aren't going to be good or much use in the late stages of the game, they can help if you're in a bit of a sticky situation. Throughout several of the pre-gen maps, you can find a little boat next to a bridge. And while there isn't a lot here, it's a boat. It doesn't work, I should say that, but it's quite cool. It's anchored to the floor, and it's one of the more interesting little unmarked places, in my opinion. What you do with this is up to you. There's not really a lot more to say on this one, is there? I think that on every single map in the game, you can come across these unmarked military outposts. And while there's not a lot here, it's quite cool, and it does help give a little more to the game's lore regarding military trying to help and whatnot. You will usually find a few foes inside here, although for the purposes of this video, I've gotten rid of them. There is some loot, as you can see. There's an ammo chest in here, there's food, there's a vehicle to break down, and if you really want, I suppose you could build off the sandbags. I wouldn't, but you know, to each their own and all that. Depending on the map you're playing on, you can find one of these, two of these, 5 of these. I've found quite a few on some of the larger random gem worlds, so yeah, there's no shortage of them. The last entry on this list is an underpass, and I know what you're thinking, that's disappointing. But it's not, at least not in my books. With very little resistance, you can build up a pretty cool base using the tunnels that go down, underneath, and then up again within the underpass. As you can see, we're on the other side of it now. There's a little bit of loot, not a lot. It's pretty strong because for the most part it's made out of concrete. There's even a little bit of steel thrown in there, which is quite nice. I like this area because you could build off it, build your own tower complex. You know, you've got quite a lot of space to build, and if you can't build out, build up. So I hope you found this video interesting. The stuff I mentioned, they're not all the unmarked locations, there are quite a few more. The ones I highlighted are the ones that I found among the most interesting. If there are any other locations that you feel deserve a mention on this list, then let us know in the comment section below, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next video.